Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Padavidikacharya Ashtotar Shri Srimad. His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. And Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Padavidikacharya Ashtotar Shri Srimad. Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnavindra Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudire. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Nar Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Nashta Prayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering devotional service to the pure devotee, all that is inauspicious within the heart is destroyed almost to nil, and loving devotion to the Supreme Lord, who is glorified in transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So, before we chant this first verse of the chapter, I will read the chapter summary. The chapter is entitled Matsya, the Lord's Fish Incarnation. This chapter describes the Supreme Personality of Godhead's incarnation as a fish, and it also describes the saving of Maharaj Satyavrata from an inundation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead expands himself by svangsha, his personal expansions. Svangsha means sva-angsha, his own Angsha, okay, his personal expansions, and Vibhinangsha, Vibhina means separated, Vibhinangsha, his expansions as the living entities. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 4.8, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkratam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead appears on this planet for the protection of the sadhus, or devotees, and for the destruction of the miscreants, or non-devotees. He especially descends to give protection to the cows, the Brahmins, the demigods, the devotees, and the Vedic system of religion. Thus he appears in various forms, sometimes as a fish, sometimes a boar, sometimes Nrsingadev, sometimes Vamanadev, and so on. But in any form or incarnation, although he comes within the atmosphere of the material modes of nature, he is unaffected. This is a sign of his supreme controlling power. Although he comes within the material atmosphere, Maya cannot touch him. Therefore, no material qualities can be attributed to him in any degree. Once, at the end of the previous kalpa, a demon named Hayagriva wanted to take the Vedic knowledge away from Lord Brahma at the time of annihilation. Therefore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead took the incarnation of a fish at the beginning of the period of Swayambhuva Manu and saved the Vedas. During the reign of Chakshus Manu, there was a king named Satyavrata, who was a great pious ruler. To save him, the Lord appeared as the fish incarnation for a second time. King Satyavrata later became the son of the sun god and was known as Shraddhadev. He was established as Manu by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. To receive the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, King Satyavrata engaged in the austerity of subsisting only by drinking water. Once, while performing this austerity on the bank of the Kutamala river and offering oblations of water with the palm of his hand, he found a small fish. The fish appealed to the king for protection, asking the king to keep him in a safe place. Although the king did not know that the small fish was the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, as a king he gave shelter to the fish and kept him in a water jug. The fish, being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, wanted to show his potency to King Satyavrata, and thus he immediately expanded his body in such a way that he could no longer be kept in the jug of water. The king then put the fish in a big well, but the well was also too small. Then the king put the fish in a lake, but the lake was also unsuitable. Finally, the king put the fish in the sea, but even the sea could not accommodate him. Thus the king understood that the fish was none other, or no one else, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he requested the Lord to describe his incarnation as a fish. The Personality of Godhead, being pleased with the king, informed him that within a week there would be an inundation throughout the universe, and that the fish incarnation would protect the king, along with the rishis, herbs, seeds, and other living entities, in a boat, which would be attached to the fish's horn. Sounds like Noah in the ark. Anyway, after saying this, the Lord disappeared. King Satyavrata offered respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord and continued to meditate upon him. In due course of time, annihilation took place, and the king saw a boat coming near. After getting aboard with learned Brahmins and saintly persons, he offered prayers to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, and thus he taught Maharaj Satyavrata and the saintly persons about the Vedic knowledge from the core of his heart. King Satyavrata took his next birth as Vaivasvata Manu, who is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. Vibhasvan Manave Praha. The sun god spoke the science of the Bhagavad Gita to his son Manu, Vaivasvata Manu. Because of being the son of Vibhasvan, the Manu is known as Vaivasvata Manu. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 29th day of September 2025 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Canto 8, Withdrawal of the Cosmic Creations, Chapter 24, Matsya, the Lord's Fish Incarnation. Text number 1. Shri Rajo Vacha. Bhagavan Trotum Ichami Hare Adbhuta Karmanaha Avatara Katham Adyam Maya Matsya Vidambanam Shri Rajo Vacha Bhagavan Trotamuchami Hare Adbhuta Karmanaha Avatara Katham Adyam Maya Matsya Vidambanam Shri Rajo Vacha Bhagavan Trotam Ichami Hare Adbhuta Karmanaha Avatara Katham Adyam Maya Matsya Vidambanam Shri Rajo Vacha Bhagavan Trotam Ichami Hare Adbhuta Karmanaha Avatara Katham Adyam Maya Matsya Vidambanam Shri Rajo Vacha Bhagavan Trotam Ichami Hare Adbhuta Karmanaha Avatara Katham Adyam Maya Matsya Vidambanam Shri Rajo Vacha Bhagavan Trotam Ichami Hare Adbhuta Karmanaha Avatara Katham Adyam Maya Matsya Vidambanam. Prakash, you want to try? Shri Rajo Vacha Bhagavan Trotam Ichami Hare Adbhuta Karmanaha Avatara Katham Adyam Maya Matsya Vidambanam Shri Rajo Vacha Bhagavan Trotam Ichami Hare Adbhuta Karmanaha Avatara Katham Adyam Maya Matsya Vidambanam. Govardhan. Shri Rajo Vacha Bhagavan Trotam Ichami Hare Adbhuta Karmanaha Avatara Katham Adyam Maya Matsya Vidambanam. Ladies. Shri Rajo Vacha Bhagavan Trotam Ichami Hare Adbhuta Karmanaha Avatara Katham Adyam Maya Matsya Vidambanam. No? Shri Rajo Vacha Bhagavan Trotam Ichami Hare Adbhuta Karmanaha Avatara Katham Adyam Maya Matsya Vidambanam. Anyone online?
Shri Rajo Vacha
Shri Rajo Vacha
Bhagavan Shrutu Michami
Bhagavan Trotam Ichami
Hare Adbhuta Karmanaha
Hare Adbhuta Karmanaha
Avatara Kata Madhyam
Avatara Katham Adyam
Maya Matsya Vidambanam.
Maya Matsya Vidambanam.
Shri Rajo Vacha
Shri Rajo Vacha
Bhagavan Chhatro Michami
Bhagavan Trotam Ichami
Hare Adbhuta Karmanaha
Hare Adbhuta Karmanaha
Avataro Katham Adyam
Avatar Katamajam
Maya Matsya Vidambanam.
Maya Matsya Vidambanam. Chad, can you get the curtains? Sri Raja Uvacha. King Parikshit said, Bhagavan, O most powerful. I'm sorry, it should be Bhagavan. Shrotam, to hear. Ichchami, I desire. Hare, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari. Adbhuta Karmanaha, whose activities are wonderful. Avatarakatam, pastimes of the Incarnation. Adyam, first. Maya Matsya Vidambanam, which is simply an imitation of a fish. Translation. Maharaj Parikshit said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is eternally situated in his transcendental position. Yet he descends to this material world and manifests himself in various incarnations. His first incarnation was that of a great fish. O most powerful Shukadeva Goswami, I wish to hear from you the pastimes of that fish incarnation. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is all-powerful, yet he accepted the form of an uncommon fish. This is one of the 10 original incarnations of the Lord. So that's it, right? Just that first verse. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara.
What do you say about that?
So, am I supposed to end there? With one?
I think you have 1 through 3.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I thought it was just one.
Yeah, Dharmasetu Dasa 4 through 4.
Well, it certainly gives me a little more to talk about.
Yeah,
Okay. And so Parikshit is asking, what does it say there, Chad? 3. All right. So the translation of 2 and 3. What was the purpose for which the Supreme Personality, so he's asking, Shukadev, what was the purpose for which the Supreme Personality of Godhead accepted the abominable form of a fish, exactly as an ordinary living being accepts different forms under the laws of karma? The form of a fish is certainly condemned and full of terrible pain. O my Lord, what was the purpose of this incarnation? Kindly explain this to us, for hearing about the pastimes of the Lord is auspicious for everyone. Purport. Parikshit Maharaj's question to Shukadeva Goswami was based on this principle stated by the Lord himself in the Bhagavad Gita 4.7. Yada yada hi dharmasya glani bhavati bharata abhyutanama dharmasya tadatmanang srijamyaham. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. The Lord appears in each incarnation to save the world, close quote. The Lord appears in each incarnation to save the world from irreligious principles and especially to protect his devotees, paritranaya sadhunam. Vamanadev, for example, appeared in order to save the devotee Bali Maharaj. Similarly, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead accepted the abominable form of a fish, he must have done so to favor some devotee. Parikshit Maharaj was eager to know about the devotee for whom the Supreme Lord accepted this form. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So, as I was preparing for this, I thought, well, this Matsya and Vamanadev have one very obvious thing in common. Can anyone figure what it is? Besides being the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
They expand.
Yeah, exactly. They expand beyond anything non-divine. And that's an essential part of their pastime. If Matsya didn't expand big enough, he wouldn't be able to pull. It doesn't mention that actually in the introduction that he pulled the boat. He was pulling that boat with all of the living entities on it and saving it. And Satyavrata was on it. He's also going to come up here, Satyavrata, who finds the fish. So it's just a little. Hopefully, I don't spoil the story for you. But he appears as a little fish. He finds this fish and he says, "Oh, this poor fish," and he puts it into a little jar or a jug, But then he grew too big, and so he put him into something larger. And then the fish said, "It's still too small." He put it into the lake, a big lake, but he outgrew the lake. And then I don't know how he carried him, but he put him into the ocean. And then it says that the ocean was too small, but I'm not sure how that works. But that's where his main pastimes take place. And he appears as emphasized in the introduction and also in this purport we just read. That Krishna says, why does he appear? In the 4th chapter, famously, Yadai dahi dharmasa glana bhavati bharata abhyutanam dharmasya tadatmanam srajamyaham. That whenever and wherever, the principles of irreligion become dominant, and dharma becomes lost or confused or weakened by the force of time or whatever. The dharmasa glani. Dharmasa glani means discrepancies in dharma. This age is ideal for that. We can see everywhere discrepancies in dharma. The discrepancies become very prominent, and adharma becomes prominent. Tadatmana srajamyaham. Now srajamyaham literally means I manifest myself. And probably use the word descend, the way he used it in that unique for I descend myself. Otherwise, he said, well, I myself descend. No, but he's using it in a transitive sense. So what we're seeing, we had Nrsingadev appear in the 7th canto. Remember that? And then we just had the whole pastime of Vamanadeva, and now Matsya is appearing. And so the Bhagavatam does that. All of these Leela avatars will be mentioned, maybe not in equal detail, but this is part of the Lord's glory, that he appears periodically in a form just suitable to perform these functions. And we had the boar incarnation. Remember, why did he appear as a boar? Now, just, I've never encountered a boar, and I've certainly never encountered a fish, a million miles long, So, I don't know exactly why a fish would be thought of more abominable. I don't know if they mentioned that for Varaha, but a boar, a hog, right? But apparently the fish's life is more abominable. But in any case, in what they do is not abominable. In other words, this facilitates their service. Why a boar? Because the earth had become unbalanced and fallen down into the bottom of the Garbhodaka ocean. And at the bottom there it is sand and mud, So that boar specifically is especially suited with the big snout and big tusk to root out that earth. It's got to be big enough, bigger than the earth, and bring it up to the top of the ocean. And I think we read that one already, didn't we? Didn't you read about that? Maybe a long time ago. But anyway, that's a very famous pastime. And meanwhile, Hiranyaksha was harassing him. Yeah, this was before Hiranyakashipu. And there was a fight, and he killed Hiranyaksha and saved the earth. Now, the saving of the Vedas here is very interesting, because I'm not sure how that works. I was always puzzled. Maybe someone can enlighten me. Because the Vedas had not been written down. I always thought when I said, "Oh, he saved the Vedas," it was written in that book and didn't get drowned, But it wasn't written down until Kali Yuga by Vyasadeva, right? So that means it was in the minds. He saved the devotees who knew the Vedas so that the Vedas wouldn't be lost. I guess that's what it means.
Is that interpretation given somewhere, or is that just one way of reconciling it?
I never read it, but it
Dharmasetu quotes in class that he was listening to. I don't know where that person came from, but about how it was a mental kind of downloading type of thing, like he stole it from the minds.
Oh, really?
Yeah, all these kind of mystical.
Oh, okay.
Stole it, so then in that way he gave it.
Saved it. Okay, well that's interesting.
What about the personified Vedas?
What about him? That's a whole other ball game. You know, that's taking place up, you know, with Mahavishnu, or you know, and they're offering prayers before the creation. So that's the chapter 87 of the 10th canon. We'll get to that eventually. So this, I think, the main thing to concentrate on here in this the purport is the fact that the Lord is very concerned that Dharma predominates in the earth, because without Dharma, life becomes completely hellish. And just look around, read the newspaper. You know, where's there any real Dharma being practiced, except in, you know, devotees? Even in India, there's so many discrepancies and so many things. You know, the kind of corruption of the varnashram system and all these things. So Lord Chaitanya, who is Krishna himself, he came for the very same reason, in order to save the people by spreading Sankirtan. This was the only hope. In the age of Kali, you know, there's a verse right beginning of the Bhagavatam, like in the first chapter, Prayan alpayashak sabhya karavasmin yagejana manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya upadrita. Prayana means for the most part, and that applies to all of the qualities. First one is they don't live very long. You know, if you live to 100, you know, you make the newspapers. But that's the maximum. Prabhupada said people sometimes live longer than that, but they don't live very long. And really, it's not just how long you live, but how long you have your faculties, and you can actually be, you know, you're not just suffering in life. So that's the first thing. Manda means lazy in this context. In the matter of inquiring into the real questions of life. Why am I here? Why am I suffering? Just like Sanatana Goswami, who am I? What am I? If those questions don't enter the mind, then you're simply on the modes of nature. You're more or less animalistic life. There's this famous verse from Hitopadesh, which is worth learning. It says, how does it start? Come on, someone help me out. Eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Ahara nidra bhayamaitanangsha samanyametat pashubi naranam. Dharmo hitesha madiko vishesho. Dharme nihina pashubi samana. Very important verse. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. We share these with the animals. They do it in a different way, you know, but everyone has to have that. So what makes the human life human life? Dharma. You see? Religion. What is religion? Prabhupada would quote this all the time. Dharma, how is it? Dharma to sakshat bhagavat punitam. Thank you. So Dharma essentially is the word spoken by the Lord. That's the essence. And what is actual Dharma? That's mentioned right at the beginning of the Bhagavatam, second chapter. What the sages want to know, what is that Dharma by which the soul can actually be satisfied? You see? So that Dharma is, of course, Bhakti. It uses the name of Hokshaja, which means the transcendental Lord. And when that Dharma is not there, then there can't be any really sustained spiritual happiness in the world. And people get completely confused, and that's what we have today. No one is asking that question. Where did I come from? Where does everything come from? Why am I suffering? Who am I? All these essential questions. Being inquisitive is part of what being alive means. And Prabhupada, I remember one lecture, he said, even the birds, you know, they used to have robins. I don't know, I haven't seen a robin in 40 years. But they hop around trying to, I don't know how they sense it, where the worms are, you know. So a good part of the day is, where's the next worm? They're inquiring, right? Where's the next worm? Even the little babies, you know, where is my mother to give me the worm? You know, so if your inquisitiveness is within the realm of eating, sleeping, mating, defending, or where's money, you know, then you're basically an animal. You're not living a human life. So that is Krishna appears. Pradatranaya sadhunam, to protect the devotees. Vinashaya dushkritam, to destroy the miscreants. The whole Mahabharata war was about that. Krishna before, when he went to Mathura, and you remember he had that whole thing with Jarasan. Those who remember know the pastime. Jarasan's daughters were married to Kamsa. So Kamsa was killed. They come home because they have to be protected by the father, and they can't be married again, So he was doubly upset with Krishna because he killed, he ruined now he has to worry about his daughters again. So anyway, Jarasan decided he had so many akshawanis, so many phalanxes, means so many thousands of horses and chariots and infantry and elephants. And he attacked Mathura repeatedly. And what did Krishna do? The first time, I was just reading this in Krishna book, he went outside the gates, and Jarasan had surrounded the whole city with all of this military force. And Krishna and Balaram were there with a small squad of, Kshatriyas, soldiers. And Jarasan had this huge army. And he was just about to destroy Mathura and kill Krishna, So what did Krishna do? He just called down the chariots. This is where he really manifests his Kshatriya form first. When he walks into Mathura, he's not walking in, he's walking as the cowherd boys. He and his brother and all the cowherd boys, they're still cowherd boys, But and if you notice, I noticed this when I read the Krishna book the first time. Krishna doesn't use any weapons in Vrindavan to kill any of the demons, right? What's his weapon to kill Putana? His mouth. He sucked out her life along with the milk, right? The poison and everything. And you think about it. How about the cart demon? He used his feet. He just kicked the cart, right? And all of them. He doesn't use any weapons because he's not a Kshatriya. But now, he is a Kshatriya. He's the son of Vasudev, but he was playing as a cowherd boy. So, but here in Mathura, now he's the Kshatriya because he's the son of Vasudeva is there. So he calls down these two chariots, one for Balaram and one for him. And they've got Garuda on his chariot, and Balaram has Hanuman, I think. And but all the ladies, they're all at the top of the houses, and they're looking, and Krishna looks. He's a goner, this is like with the Kaliya, the big snake. He seems to be. How can he possibly? There's 100 snakes with his heads, and he's this little child. And so they're all freaking out. Mother Yashoda's fainting, and Balaram's laughing. He's keeping. Don't go in the lake. He had to keep him out because he knew how powerful. So Krishna's engineered this, because the anxiety for Krishna is another manifestation of their affection for him. And then when he is victorious, it's that much more ecstatic, you see. So he starts shooting his arrows, he's killing all the elephants and all the horses and everything. It turns into a huge bloodbath, literally. And then, so finally, there's only Jarasan left. Everything, all the horses, animals, and infantry, they're all killed, and the chariots are destroyed. And so Krishna says, okay, don't kill him. He tells Balaram, just tie him up. No, so he tied him up. And then, humiliatingly, they let him go. So they let him go, and he said, okay, I'm going to go perform great austerities. I'm going to the forest, But he went as he went home, all of his ministers and everyone says, oh, it was just, the wind was blowing the wrong way. Don't worry, you just attack him again, So 17 times he comes back, and it's fulfilling Krishna's purpose, to get rid of as many of the miscreants as possible, right? So he's successful like that. So the same thing is going on here with Matsya. He's not killing the demons, but he's at least saving the Shastra, saving the Vedas, which are the foundation of Dharma. You see, so it's the same motivation, and this is just more ways in which we can meditate on the wonderful qualities of Krishna, because he is the one who's taking these forms. It's one God, and he's taking all of these forms in different avatars, performing these pastimes. And it's a wonderful way to, really understand as far as we can the amazing qualities of Krishna and his power to appear and interact in just the right way to further these motives, which is primarily to protect the devotees. That's an important thing. And you see, even in Vrindavan, he's swallowing the forest fire, killing all these frightful demons that threaten, the big bull demon. He's so huge, and frightening the women, everything, having miscarriages. And so Krishna kills him very easily, like that, to protect the devotees. So this is also, now when Lord Chaitanya came, he didn't come with any weapons, he didn't kill any demons, but what he did do was kill the demonic mentality. You see? There's a purport I'm going to write to the GBC and the BBT trustees about it. I said, I think we have to do something with this purport. Because in that particular purport, Prabhupada says, and it's not a secret, it's been printed now for 40, 50 years, that one of the main missions of the devotees in ISKCON is to kill these fake avatars that are coming, and saying that to Krishna. 3 times he mentions it in that purport. And I think that, but if you go to killing demons, anyway, I use the Veda base a lot. Chaitanya, what did he do? Well, he didn't kill Jagai Madai. Nityananda reminded him, no, you're not supposed to kill any demons in this avatar. You see, but you kill with the holy name and with your mercy. You kill the demonic nature in the heart, and in that way you kill them. So I think that purport should probably be. What do you think? A little editing. We'll see what it was. Because that's why I know what Prabhupada meant. He didn't say, yes, our Kshatriya boys, they should gear up and go kill those. And he didn't mean that. He meant kill the way Lord Chaitanya killed. And that's important to understand, that we all have that in an ordinary consciousness, just living in this age. You absorb the demonic mentality. Just going to McDonald's every week. It's demonic. I heard Prabhupada talking about how horrible this is in the modern age, that people have no idea how sinful it is to kill the cows. The cows especially are protected by Krishna. Brahmins, cows, children, old men, old people. All those cannot be hurt. But there's this huge slaughter going on every day. And people wonder why the world is in such chaotic condition. So our mission also is to reform our lives so that we're not committing any of these egregious sins, giving up the 4 pillars of sin, of course, and practice Krishna consciousness in such a way that we become ecstatic in service to Krishna, and we give it to others. That was Lord Chaitanya's mood and his mission, and that was Prabhupada's mood and mission. He was able to influence others because he was obviously the genuine article. He was living it, and he was propagating it, and he was sacrificing himself. Everyone knows the story, He sacrificed his health, almost passed away early on, but he didn't relent. He also often, or quite often, he would refer to Jesus Christ as an ideal, preacher who was ready to risk everything for the cause of the Lord. And the spread of Krishna consciousness, as we just heard, Junda Swami now got arrested in Russia. He is an incredible example. I remember when he took sannyas, he had gone to see Vidyananda Maharaj and asked him, well, what should I do now with this sannyas? Where should I preach? What should I do? So he suggested he go to Brazil, which is one of Vidyananda Maharaj's zones, but he had a big zone. He was mostly in Miami writing the Bhagavatam. He wasn't traveling so much. So Indra said, okay, so he went to Brazil, and he went to a city. I don't know how much you know about the geography down there, but in the middle of the Amazon River, there's an island kind of, and there's a city on it called Manaus. And often, if you're going to go up the Amazon, you stop there and you get a boat and go in. So he went to Manaus. There's a temple there, and he saw a well-dressed lady, I think it was, dancing in the back of the Sunday feast. So he asked her, well, who is that? Oh, that's the wife of the governor. Wow, So he thought that if he could introduce himself and he could meet the governor, maybe he could get some influence and be able to preach better. So what came out of it, I forget all the details, he told this story, that he decided to have an expedition going up the Amazon with devotees and preaching, because along the way there were a lot of Christian establishments that they'd gone into the, they also had their missionaries, and he wanted to go there and do a program, kirtan and prasadam, basically. So he took a few intrepid devotees, and up they went, the Amazon River. And I remember seeing this one photograph. They would have the main boat, and then they have little rowboats that they would go into little streams, and in this way they'd find little villages and the places, So the devotees are sitting in the boat, and they're all near the middle of the boat, hardly moving, because it's full of piranhas. There are piranhas, fish, you know what they do, they eat you. They're in the river. And that little, So it was dangerous. And he told the story how he was leading the devotees through the jungle to the settlement, And suddenly, somehow he walked into this, it wasn't a hive, but it was bees attacked him, and he stung him, and he fell down, he was fainted, And the devotees didn't know what to do. There's no question of getting him into the boat and going to some hospital. It would have taken hours. But the local people, they knew, the Amazon is all kinds of plants and herbs and everything, that there was some plant that if you made a salve out of it, that could save you. So they got that. He came to, he survived. But it was dangerous, and there were poisonous moths, believe it or not. So even if you're on the boat and you think we're not safe, the moths can come and get you. It's amazing. So he's known for that. They call him Indiana Jones instead of Indrajumna sometimes. Anyway, he's facing this now again, but it sounds like he should be able to be released soon, hopefully. So this wonderful pastime of Matsya is coming.
I heard he was released, and he just has.
Oh, he has been released already.
Yeah, he just can't come back for 5 years.
Oh.
Like $350.
$350. Oh my God. Well, thank God. Thank Krishna. Let him out. Yeah. So, any discussion on these points and this new chapter we're entering here, Matsya Avatar? Oh, good.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hi, Bob.
You were talking about like cow killing, and I was just wondering, like the other day, that like how come the dog eaters are considered as the lowest among the mankind, since eating cow is more sinful. So how come cow eaters are not?
I actually thought of that one time, and I think what happened is that in India, cow killing used to be so obviously abominable and no one was doing it, but that there must have been some Aborigines or something who were eating dogs. So with cow killing kind of off the stage, because there was a whole fight, I mean, when Buddha came because people had used the Vedas, which also mentions, right, sometimes there's a sacrifice of a cow, but it's to give him a new life and so forth, But they were misusing it for cow slaughter. So he rejected the Vedas, and he based his whole thing on ahimsa. That was the central point, no cow eating. And then in order for Dharma to really come back, the Mayavad came. In other words, we are hidden, covered Buddhism. Sometimes that's a Mayavad, because the ultimate is just to merge. It's like a void, almost like a void. But it's based on the Vedas and no cow killing, and that's where Buddhism was all kind of pushed out of India, east, and it became more prominent in Thailand and of course Japan, like that. So what I would surmise, and I can research it for you, because I thought of that also. Isn't cow killing, more abominable than dog eaters. And in present day India, I was just hearing a lecture. Prabhupada was saying that, because I don't really know the culture there, that it's legal. It's legal now, right, to eat meat and to eat cows, and there's slaughtered in different parts of the country, and it's being damaged. So that the dog eaters, I think, even when cow killing was not going on because it was so horrible and against the Vedas, there were certain low classes who were eating dog eaters. That's all I can surmise. But I really don't know, and I can try to find out for you. I have some people I can ask about that. It's a good question. Still a mystery, though, unless anyone has any answers.
I had a small question also about cow killing. When you said that there's so much slaughtering of cows around the world, and so no wonder the world is so kind of chaotic and everything. But I was wondering, would we say that if there were no slaughtering of cows, then the world wouldn't be chaotic, or how would we kind of?
Well, the thing is, it's not if there's no slaughtering of cows. It's that if people's mentality is such that they understand how horrible it is. In other words, it can't just be. It's not just it's not just. Of course, it would help if they actually ended the cow slaughter, but there's no question of doing that until people actually understand the value of the cow and the horror of actually all the pain and suffering that's going on. So that then on the basis of that understanding, it would not only be a cause, but it would also be an effect. It would be an effect of people's understanding, and it would prevent so many horrible things happening as a result of the cow slaughter. Because people don't understand, it's not just their own karma that's going on. All society is turned into a charnel house, from this mass slaughter. I mean, just like now, you've got this genocide going on in Gaza, in Israel. I'm sure most of you are aware of that. But somehow, it's just going on. There's a lot of people who are horrified by it, but there's a certain also hardness of heart that comes from all the genocide that's going on with the cows and other animals, but mostly the cows, and so that changes you. It makes you hard-hearted. That's the whole thing. I mean, I even noticed that when I joined. I mean, I wasn't at all interested in yoga or anything at all until I became a vegetarian. Then suddenly these things appealed to me. I became more open to the argument of not eating any meat for ethical reasons as well. And you may find that, I don't know how the book distributors find, but if you may find that if someone is already a vegetarian, then they're much more open to getting a book, to the philosophy. And that's because it has a deep effect on you, And this horror that's going on in Gaza, what's really amazing about it is that it's not top of mind. It's not, people aren't, there are demonstrations and so forth that have gone on, but it's causing a tremendous moral injury, meaning that it often happens with soldiers who go out and they performed something, and they found out that, the bombs we just sent over and hit, we killed so many children and women. And if anyone is at all human being, he feels horrible about that. And so this the thing about cow slaughter is that it hardens you to causing suffering to others. I remember as a child, I didn't have any real problem with steak and meatballs and things like that because I couldn't see the cow. But then when we had chicken, and sometimes we had turkey, you cut it and you can see the poor bird. You said, I can't eat that. Because I was thinking, it connected. You see what I'm saying? So, this is a poor animal that you're just, clucking nicely and happily just a few weeks ago, and now suddenly it's... So, but that didn't last. You know, after a while, I was just, yeah, let's go have it with this and that. So that science is unknown to people. They don't know why. Why is there so much crime? Why is there so much, child molestation and suffering? You know, it's because there's no cultivation of actual human sensibility, which requires an understanding that in every body, in every living being, every living animal and everything, there's a soul, part of God, you see. And that soul is sacred, and therefore the last thing we want to do is to harm someone or cause suffering to anyone. Even, we have these little insects we try to take out, and, So it's a cultivation, and that's why this Kali Yuga, if you read the 12th canto, it shows how, with the degradation of society comes an eclipse of these finer sentiments. The modes of passion and ignorance become very prominent. But to finish that verse, Manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya yupadrita. This is the very beginning of Bhagavatam, first chapter, like 13th verse, describing this age. The prayena means for the most part, and that carries over all of them. For the most part, people don't live very long. 60, 70, that's nothing compared to previous ages. Prayena alpayashak sabya kalavasmin yugena, the people in this age of Kali. Manda means they're lazy in the matter of spiritual life. They're very energetic in the matter of making money and trying to enjoy the senses, But when it comes to these higher thoughts, they can't do it. Sumanda matayo, and they're misguided. If someone becomes interested, then you got all these charlatans, bogus gurus and coming. So that's another problem. Manda bhagya, unfortunate and always disturbed. The mind is disturbed by so many different things. And the advent, because I come from an age before any of the internet or the cell phones or all that stuff. So that makes it that much worse. Because, you just hit a few keys and you've got, the worst of the worst coming at you anywhere. And poor kids, that's why there's a movement to ban cell phones in at least grade schools, and, because it's just so bad. So that's the age we live in, and we can use some of the same technology, of course, for spreading Dharma. But it's hard to counteract all of the evils of this age. All right, it's gotten late. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much. And if you're invited to class tonight, we're in chapter 9, most confidential knowledge, the essence of all education.
Confidential, but we're all invited?
Yeah. That's what it says. Rajaguyam.